In this video, we will explore how GSM courses are designed. Specifically, we will look at the hybrid delivery format that we use and the simple scope and sequence that we follow with our courses. Our hybrid format includes asynchronous elements, synchronous elements, and in-person elements. Examples of asynchronous elements would be the content that you consume, so videos that you view, books that you read, or things that you listen to. Other elements that are asynchronous in your course would include assignments, things that you have to complete. The asynchronous nature of these elements allows you to work according to your schedule. You can plan your work and then work your plan around whatever life you're living as you are studying. However, you do have set deadlines on a weekly basis, so you do have to meet those deadlines. This is not truly work at your own pace. You're able to schedule with these asynchronous elements, but you must turn in things according to the deadline. Examples of synchronous elements would be things that occur at the same time. You're doing things at the same time with other people in your cohort. For example, weekly cohort meetings. So you will log on to Zoom with your cohort and your cohort facilitator every Thursday at a set time. Now, there is some flexibility as to what time on Thursday your cohort wants to meet. That's up to the availability of your cohort facilitator and your students. But you do have to log on at the same time on a weekly basis to meet with your cohort. Also, for 2 of the weeks of your 7-week course, you will meet online on Zoom for live lectures. The benefit of synchronous elements is they allow you to build relationships with the people in your cohort and relationships with your teaching team. However, they are still quite convenient because you're not having to be in person on campus somewhere for these elements. However, we do have a few in-person elements that help kind of add to the robustness of a GSM course. These would include your mentor meetings and GSM local events. When you meet with your mentor, once a month at a minimum, we prefer that this happens in person. It can happen online when necessary, but we prefer that it happens in person. And then once for every course, there is a GSM local event that occurs in person on Friday night and Saturday morning at a host congregation. And this is a chance for cohorts to meet together, to hear live lectures in person, to have cohort meetings in person, and to see the context in which one of your classmates serves in ministry and worships at their USMB church. The benefits of in-person elements include the in-the-room dynamic that just you cannot replicate online. We can do a lot of things to get close, but there's just something different about being actually in the room with your classmates and with your teaching team. And then in-person elements, especially, well, really both the mentor meetings and the GSM local events allow you to have some exposure to ministry in analog, in real life contexts. Our GSM curriculum follows a pretty simple scope and sequence. However, it does need a little bit of explaining because it's a little different than what you might have experienced in other contexts. The main thing is, and what I'll unpack here in the next few slides, is that all of our courses are designated A courses, B courses, or C courses. This is how we refer to them internally as we're talking about our curriculum. Now, our curriculum, you can complete the entirety of the GSM curriculum in 2 years, and this would be taking courses year round in fall, spring, and summer semesters. And you see here on the screen how this works. Our curriculum is a 2-year curriculum. We have 2 7-week courses in each semester, and in most cases, GSM students take one course at a time. You'll almost never be taking 2 courses simultaneously. We'll unpack that a little bit more in just a minute. Now, what is an A course, a B course, and a C course? An A course is a course that has content that is more kind of theory focused. An A course sets up a B course that follows it. There are no prerequisites for any A course in our curriculum. You can see on this slide, A courses are in blue. B courses are more practice focused. B courses follow a specific A course. B courses do have a prerequisite. In order to take a specific B course, you must have had the A course that is paired with it. All A and B courses are paired, which you can see indicated on the screen by the chain links that are between certain courses. For instance, let's look at the first two courses in year one. So the A course in blue in year one at the very beginning of the year is Old Testament Survey 1, where you would study the books of the Old Testament from Genesis to Esther. And then once you've completed that course, the next course in the sequence is Preaching 1, which focuses on how to preach a sermon, how to craft and deliver a sermon based off of Old Testament narrative. So you cannot take Preaching 1 unless you've taken Old Testament Survey 1 already. Okay. They're paired together. We'll talk a little bit more about why they're paired together in just a minute. Now, C courses are standalone courses. They are unpaired. You'll see them indicated here on your screen in green. C courses may at times overlap, and there is no prerequisite for any C courses. Now, if you take a second and just look through all 12 courses that are on the screen currently, you will notice that only the courses in yellow, the B courses, have a 600 course code. All of the rest of the courses have a 500 course code. What that indicates is anything that's a 500 you can take without having to have had any specific prerequisite before taking that class. However, the yellow courses, the 600 level B courses, do have a prerequisite. So, what are the benefits of pairing A and B courses? Well, to start with, you'll notice that the A and B courses all fall in the fall and spring semesters. By pairing A and B courses, we integrate theory and practice for robust ministry training. So we don't have theory and practice separated; they actually are linked together in a way that connects the two of them and integrates them. Pairing A and B courses sustains deep thinking about a topic across the semester. So you will begin to think deeply about a specific topic in the A course. And then as you shift into your B course, you're thinking about or exploring ways to use what you've been thinking deeply about in your A course. And your thinking continues across two courses for the entirety of the semester. And doing it this way avoids what I call cognitive whiplash by building cohesion. So even though in your A course you're thinking more about content and theory, and in your B course you're using that content and thinking about application and practical ministry, there's cohesion between the A and the B course that keeps you thinking in the same direction for the entirety of a semester for all 14 weeks of your semester. A courses and B courses make up the spine of our curriculum. And that spine is linear and sequential. So you go from one course to the next, to the next, to the next in a very specific and thought out way. And this provides structure and stability to the GSM curriculum. However, whereas the spine gives stability and structure, we also need a little bit of flexibility to make things work. So C courses provide flexibility. C courses allow for situations where courses could overlap, where you may be finishing one course while you're beginning another course because they're not paired with anything else and they stand alone. They might overlap a little bit from summer to summer. C courses allow options for scheduling and delivery that's different from A and B courses. It just gives us some room to move. And one of the things that's really exciting about C courses is the flexibility that these standalone courses offer allows us to also build out courses that correspond to special USMB summer meetings that may be at the conference level or the district level. Now, what's exciting about the way this is built is that you see the green check marks on your screen for A and C courses. There are lots of places where you can jump on to the GSM curriculum without any prerequisites. So, 8 of our 12 courses you can get into without having taken any other course previously. So, a student can begin the GSM curriculum at the beginning of any semester. You can start at the beginning of the fall semester, you can start at the beginning of the spring semester, you can start at the beginning of the summer semester, any year. There are a few courses that you must have taken a previous course in order to take that course, and those are always the yellow courses, the B courses, which are always the second course in a fall or spring semester. So you cannot begin the GSM curriculum halfway through a fall semester or halfway through a spring semester. But by and large, the way that the scope and sequence of our GSM courses allows for a whole lot of easy on-ramps so that whenever you're ready, your life situation allows it, and you feel like God is leading you to begin your theological education with GSM, you can start at the beginning of any semester, and there are no prerequisites to keep you to make you have to wait to the beginning of the next year.